Well, welcome everybody. It happened again. A former Trump supporter took a gun to one of Trump's golf courses with the intention of assassinating the former president. This time, he did not, it is believed, get any shots off, was shot at, fled the scene, and was ultimately apprehended and arrested. Let's start with the story about what happened. A 58-year-old named Ryan Wesley Routh was hanging around a couple of holes ahead of where Donald Trump was playing at his West Palm Beach golf club yesterday. Secret Service agents, as I guess is protocol, they move 300 to 500 yards ahead of Trump, which is a couple of holes ahead. They saw in the shrubbery the barrel of an AK-47 style rifle. They shot in that direction. This is the best information we have now. The would-be shooter, Routh, fled and was subsequently apprehended. Donald Trump is safe and announced that he is safe. And now we start with the finger pointing and the blaming, the conspiracy theories, and all sorts of other stuff. Those who immediately claim this is obviously a concerted effort from the left to take out Trump in advance of the election because the left is so afraid that Donald Trump is going to win. Those who say this is a setup by Trump after a completely disastrous debate performance, one might argue the worst debate performance in the history of American debates dating back, in the modern era, televised era, to Richard Nixon's sweaty, flu-like 5 o'clock shadow debate against John F. Kennedy. Okay, so the idea is it's Trump who set it up to distract from the fact that his debate performance was so bad. We don't have any evidence for any of those things. What we have evidence for right now is that the would-be shooter, the would-be assassin of Trump, supported Donald Trump in 2016, but then through some combination of radicalization and maybe mental illness and ready access to guns, turned on Trump and decided that he wanted to solve a political problem with a gun. In 2020, Routh voiced his dissatisfaction by tweeting, quote, "Donald Trump, while you were my choice in 2016, I and the world hoped that President Trump would be different and better than the candidate. But we all were greatly disappointed, and it seems you are getting worse and devolving. You are retarded. I will be glad when you gone." So what we have right now, and I understand that the MAGAs are saying the social media trail is fake. This is clearly some far leftist because he supported Ukraine against Russia. Most of the world supports Ukraine against Russia. All of the evidence is this was a Republican who was disillusioned with Trump for not being enough of whatever it was that he had hoped. Not an altogether different picture from the other guy who tried to kill Donald Trump. What did Donald Trump say in reaction? Well, he posted to Truth Social, quote, "I would like to thank everyone for your concern and well wishes. It was certainly an interesting day. Most importantly, I want to thank the U.S. Secret Service, Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, and his Office of Brave and Dedicated Patriots, and all of law enforcement for the incredible job done today at Trump International in keeping me, as the 45th president of the United States and the Republican nominee in the upcoming presidential election, safe. The job done was absolutely outstanding. I am very proud to be an American." So, as kind of always seems to be the case in these scenarios, there is never an appetite to talk about the widespread availability and ready access to all sorts of killing machines, AK-47 style rifles, et cetera, et cetera. It's almost like you're not even allowed to talk about that. Allowed, I don't mean anybody is physically saying do not talk about it. But what I mean is it's not an acceptable part of the discourse to the American right wing, period. Secondly, they immediately want to talk about mental illness. Now, you can make the case that anyone willing to even think and go forward in trying to carry out an action like this has some element of mental illness. But that doesn't mean they don't understand that what they are doing is wrong and illegal. And of course, the focus on mental illness often comes from people who stigmatize mental health problems and don't want to properly fund making it easier and more socially acceptable for people to deal with those mental health problems. And then, of course, number three, the conspiracy theories. Now, there is one specific thing I want to address as far as that goes. There is the claim being made that the reason this stuff is happening is because Joe Biden, either due to negligence or deliberate malice, is restricting Secret Service's ability to protect Trump by limiting budget or limiting agents or whatever the case may be. This is absolutely not the case. And before people get going on that, here is the press conference that took place where it was confirmed that they actually scaled Trump's security up beyond what would even be normal because of the escalated threat.
Former President Donald Trump is now potential second attempt on him. Can you just elaborate on how things have changed and what you make of all this?
Yes, the threat level is high. We have increased the amount of assets that we've supported. So we live in danger times. So yes.
They identify that there is a higher threat level. They've escalated resources. Now, the other story, of course, is forgetting for a second about the generically widespread access to firearms. Routh himself, the would-be shooter in this case, was convicted in 2002 of possessing a firearm, resisting, delaying, and obstructing a law enforcement officer, driving without a license, and was engaged in a 3-hour standoff with police. He was pulled over during a traffic stop, put a hand on a gun, and then drove to a nearby business, barricading himself inside. In 2003, he was sentenced for driving without a license, carrying a concealed weapon, and hit and run. In 2010, he was convicted of possessing stolen goods. So as usual, an individual, or as often is the case, an individual who is not just a random person with access to guns, it was someone known to and connected to previous law enforcement incidents. So as always, I reject completely any attempts of these kinds, this kind, violent, and I want to beat Trump at the ballot box. Let's now look at some of the reactions to what happened yesterday, and you will see that some are sane and some are not so sane. Are you looking to elevate your fitness routine with a science-backed approach? Alpha Progression is the ultimate workout app designed to deliver real results no matter where you are on your fitness journey. What really makes Alpha Progression exceptional is its unbeatable value, intuitive interface, and fully customizable workout plans that are tailored to exactly what you need. With an impressive 4.9-star rating across both the Apple and Google App Stores and tens of thousands of glowing reviews, this app has earned its reputation. Twice recognized as Apple's App of the Day, Alpha Progression is a trusted choice for fitness. If you're just starting out, if you have years of experience, Alpha Progression focuses on maximizing muscle gain with science-based workout plans that align with your personal goals. These are created by seasoned bodybuilders. The app offers expert guidance and strategies similar to those of a personal trainer, but at a tiny fraction of the cost. Get the results you're striving for with Alpha Progression, all while staying within your budget. We are partnering with Alpha Progression to give you 20% off your first year when you sign up for an annual plan, or 20% off your first month if you go monthly. Go to alphaprogression.com/Pacman. The link is in the description.